The moment you opened this message, the atmosphere around you shifted. Even the air knows something divine is taking place. Because this right now, is not a coincidence. It is a divine interception. In a place you cannot yet see, a sacred scroll was sealed in fire and light, bearing only one name, yours. The angels stationed around it were told to wait until the exact moment heaven said, "Now." That moment is no longer in the future. It is no longer hours away. It is here. And Archangel Michael, with a blade drawn and wings trembling with urgency, has been dispatched on divine assignment. The order has been released, and heaven has confirmed, you are next. Do not take this lightly. As you read this, time is narrowing. There is a reason the number 2 showed up, 2 hours, 2 warnings, 2 choices. One will lead to transformation. The other will close a door not easily reopened. Someone powerful has seen your name in a vision. They have spoken to no one but the angelic realm about what they saw. They trembled when they felt the weight of your calling. Now the spirit realm has awakened with noise, because you are about to receive what they knew would shift the course of your life. You have been watched. Yes, for months. Not by humans, but by eyes not made of flesh. Divine watchers, appointed by the throne of God, stationed above and around, listening to your cries, your weary prayers whispered in the dark. And now? Now they are moving. Because something sacred has been sealed just for you, and it cannot fall into the wrong hands. That is why Archangel Michael himself is involved. He stands beside the gate of this moment, commanding a host of warriors. The light behind him is almost unbearable to behold, even in spirit. He says this message must be read completely. He says delay is no longer permitted. You have been chosen for something too important. And the reason for the secrecy? Because others, some near you, would sabotage this breakthrough if they even sensed it coming. There is a divine reason you felt spiritually restless lately. You thought it was anxiety. You thought it was exhaustion. But the truth is more unsettling. What you felt was the spiritual trembling of an approaching event so powerful it shakes dimensions. Heaven calls it a divine reversal. A sudden appending of circumstances. A switch in spiritual rulership. And you are at the center. This is why you couldn't sleep last night. Why the dream you had didn't make sense. Why you kept looking at the same time on the clock, 2 o'clock, 2:22, 2:44. The number of duality, of decision, of two forces pulling, light and darkness. Archangel Michael says there is a spiritual court now convening, and the verdict has already been decided. You must receive what is being delivered. Do not tell anyone. That instruction is sacred. Not because you are paranoid, but because what is coming is so holy, so disruptive to the spiritual status quo, that speaking of it too early could expose it to opposition not meant to see it. There are voices in your life that sound friendly but are spiritually compromised. And heaven is guarding this moment with silence, for your sake. The sealed order contains not just blessing, it carries authority. A shift in your position. A transfer of power. You will notice, in the next 48 hours, people treating you differently. Some will suddenly turn cold without reason. Others will show up, drawn to a light you didn't realize had increased. This is not a coincidence. It is confirmation. Something invisible is now visible to those in spirit. God says, "You thought I forgot you. But I was preparing an order that required time, secrecy, and angelic approval. I never ignored your cries. I recorded them in fire. And I assigned your name to a time-locked promise. That time has come. Even now, the spiritual winds are shifting. The moon trembles behind torn clouds. The atmosphere you move through each day is no longer ordinary. Pay attention. The signs will not be loud, but they will be undeniable. A whisper in the wind. A flicker of lights. A sudden knowing in your gut. These are the signals that Archangel Michael's feet are close. The powerful person who requested this release did not do so lightly. They are watching from afar, hidden behind layers of divine protection. They saw what was withheld from you. They saw who tried to delay your rise. They have now been granted permission to speak your name aloud in the courts of heaven. That speech triggered this event. There are only 2 hours until the next veil tears. And when it does, you must be ready to receive. This is not about luck. It is about divine timing. This is not about reward. It is about justice. And heaven has chosen now to balance the scales on your behalf. Archangel Michael says, "The sword is already drawn. Resistance will not hold this time. They tried. They failed. The sealed order moves forward. But beware, this message is your only chance to prepare. When the clock strikes, something will begin that you cannot stop. Do not speak about this aloud. Do not question it with others. Heaven needs your alignment, not your explanation. You are being entrusted. You are being honored. You are being summoned. The wind you felt last week that came without warning, sharp, strange, then gone, was not weather. It was a veil tearing. It was the first crack in the barrier they built around you. The walls you've been pushing against in silence were not natural. They were spiritual, and now, heaven is finally exposing who helped build them. 2 of them. They walk close. Their hands have touched yours. One is family by blood, the other by long-standing loyalty. Their smiles have remained, their concern seemed genuine, but in the secret places, their words poisoned the air between your destiny and your doorstep. Their names have been recorded in a heavenly journal, not for punishment, not yet, but for divine confrontation. You have felt the tension before. The strange silence in conversations. The delayed responses when you shared your ideas, your plans. You thought it was your imagination. But Archangel Michael says no, it was not. Their resistance wasn't verbal, it was spiritual. They invoked your name in prayer, but not in honor. Their tongues said blessing while their hearts trembled in envy. This is not to create fear, it is to reveal. Heaven does not expose what it does not intend to heal or remove. You were delayed because their agreement in the spirit realm carried weight, just enough weight to interfere with timing. They sat in places of influence over your choices, your resources, your confidence. And the enemy used their closeness as camouflage. God says, "You asked me why the doors did not open. You asked me why I remained silent when you cried. I was not silent, I was watching the circle tighten around you so I could strike it all at once." The delay was precision. The delay was protection. But now the delay is over. They weren't always enemies. In fact, they were appointed to protect you once. But something shifted. Something in your success, your favor, your light, they could not hold it with honor. Jealousy entered like smoke through a crack in the wall. It was small at first. An unspoken resentment. But it grew. And the moment they aligned with words not spoken by heaven, the protection around your path began to flicker. Archangel Michael is not revealing their names for you to confront them. He says this is not your battle. If you act in flesh, you interfere. If you act in silence and obedience, heaven will handle what must be dismantled. This is not about revenge, it is about severance. The time has come to detach, spiritually and emotionally, from what no longer carries your blessing. You will begin to notice a difference in how you feel around certain people in the next 72 hours. Conversations will feel strained. Your spirit will resist small talk. Your body will feel agitated in their presence, even if their words remain sweet. This is not paranoia. It is discernment intensifying. Heaven is raising the frequency of your spiritual sensitivity so that what once seemed hidden will now burn like writing on the wall. This is why the instruction remains: do not speak of what is coming. One of them is listening. One of them has access to your breath, your schedule, your habits. They will pretend to be interested. They will offer support. But Archangel Michael says, do not be deceived by their sudden kindness. It is not kindness. It is confusion. They sense something breaking loose in your favor, and they are trying to hold it down before it flies. There is a strange law in the spirit. When someone speaks against you with envy in secret, it slows the flow of favor, unless heaven interrupts it. God has now interrupted it. The very people who tighten the knots on your progress are now witnessing your release, but they will not understand it. It will confuse them. It will distance them. And that is by design. God says, I am pulling the curtains back. I am letting you see who was seated in your theater with no intention of celebrating your show. You thought they were applauding. But they were measuring how much of your light they could steal before you noticed. You've always sensed you were called for something more. Even as a child, you felt watched, targeted, and protected. This tension has never left you. But now, the reason for that lifelong stirring is being revealed. Your life carries a weight others can feel, even if they cannot name it. And now, as heaven activates your next level, those who are not pure in heart will begin to feel the burn of it. Archangel Michael says, you are not to mourn those I remove. You are not to chase what crumbles behind you. Some structures must fall for the blessing to land safely. Your silence is your sword now. Something they tried to bury will now surface. A document. A message. A decision they made that affected you without your knowledge. Heaven is exposing it. And when it surfaces, do not respond in anger. Respond in quiet awe, because it means the time of unveiling has come. You will know it by the chill that runs down your back when you read it. Your spirit will say, this is the moment. This is not a season of fighting. This is a season of spiritual courtroom proceedings. The judge has ruled. The accusers have been exposed. And you? You have been cleared. Every delay, every disappointment, every misdirection, they are being reversed, one by one. And the ones who contributed to your wilderness season will be removed from influence over your path. This is not to harm them. This is to free you. The scroll with your name on it glows brighter now. The seal is breaking. Your enemies know before you do that your elevation is here. That's why they are watching you closely. That's why they've changed their tone. They can feel something they can't explain, because heaven has not given them permission to understand it. And you? You are almost there. There are whispers in the spirit realm that still carry the sound of your name, burned, twisted, offered as sacrifice by those who thought your silence meant defeat. But God says it was never an accident. The fire that scorched your path was not just the work of enemies. It was divine calibration. It was meant to strip, forge, and prepare you for an elevation that could not be carried by who you used to be. Every setback you endured, every door that closed without reason, every strange opposition you couldn't explain, none of it was random. The trials were tailored. The suffering was timed. The pain was permitted, but not forever. And now, the fire that once tried to consume you is the same fire that heaven is using to refine and release you. You were not cursed. You were chosen. And chosen ones do not move through easy paths. They are tempered like swords, heated, folded, struck repeatedly until their edge is unstoppable. And that's what you are becoming now. Unstoppable. Your name was placed in sacred fire not to destroy you, but to burn off everything that was connected to the old version of your identity. Archangel Michael says, "The flames around your name were unauthorized, but they did not go unseen." Every word spoken in darkness has been recorded. Every act of sabotage, marked. And now, heaven is moving with holy fire of its own, to restore what was stolen and repay what was withheld. There is someone you forgave, but secretly, they never forgave your survival. They expected your failure to be permanent. They clapped when you fell. But they were silent when you stood up again. This person is one of the reasons your spiritual weight increased. Because their betrayal wasn't about money or moments, it was about destiny. They tried to rewrite your timeline by removing their support at the moment they knew you'd need it most. But God overruled them. He didn't just rescue you, He recalculated you. Your path shifted slightly to bypass what was blocked. And in that detour, you walked through some of your darkest nights. But that same road, the one you wept on, is the one heaven is now paving with light. You will feel this soon. In your spirit, then in your body. A warmth in your chest. A clarity in your mind. An energy that wasn't there yesterday. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. Heaven is rebuilding the bridge between you and the next season of your life, and this time, it will be lined with fire only heaven controls. The reason your presence has made people uncomfortable lately? It's because your light is returning in full. You don't even see it yet, but others can. Your aura is shifting. You are glowing with a divine frequency, and those who operate in low vibration cannot hide their discomfort. It's not personal. It's prophetic. God says, "I let the fire come. But I also commanded it not to consume you. Like I did with Moses. Like I did with my son. What was burned around you could not touch what was sealed inside you." You've wondered why certain people left without closure. Why the friendship turned cold with no warning. Why the support you were promised evaporated at the moment you needed it most. It's because the fire revealed the truth. God did not allow them to remain because what He is about to release into your hands cannot be shared with hearts still playing double roles. There is something sacred being resurrected now. A promise. A prophecy. A vision you let go of because the delay broke your spirit. But heaven didn't forget. And now, that vision is breathing again. You'll see it in strange moments, an idea returning, a memory surfacing, an old passion rising like smoke from embers you thought had died. They haven't. They were only waiting for the fire to pass. Archangel Michael says, "What they tried to destroy has multiplied. What they mocked will become your mantle." You are not returning to where you were, you are rising to what you were born for. This is why things began breaking down when you tried to go back. Old places, old relationships, old patterns. Nothing felt the same, even when it looked the same. That wasn't failure, it was heaven closing what you weren't supposed to fit into anymore. You've outgrown what once comforted you. And the fire made sure of it. Your name is now different in the spirit realm. It carries weight. Not just identity, but influence. There are conversations happening about you in realms you've never entered. Divine beings have heard your cries and are now placing your name in proximity to doors you didn't even know existed. These are not doors of chance. These are doors of replacement, where what was stolen is being returned sevenfold. God says, "You've passed the test." The enemy said you would curse me and give up. But you didn't. Even when your prayers were hoarse. Even when your hope was hanging by threads. You stayed. You listened. You believed again. And for that, I am rewarding you with something irrevocable. Do not doubt the change that's already happening. It may not show on the outside yet, but in the spirit, you've already crossed into a new phase. That's why people from your past have started reappearing. That's why unexpected communication has returned. That's why old patterns are tempting you to respond. It's not coincidence, it's a test. Heaven is watching to see, will you return to the ashes, or will you claim what the fire revealed? You must walk forward now. Even if it feels strange. Even if it's quiet. Even if no one congratulates you yet. Because soon, they will not be able to ignore the transformation. You will glow from the inside. You will carry divine evidence. And those who doubted you, they will fall silent in awe. The fire was never your end. It was your beginning. You are not where you used to be, and the realms know it. Something has shifted in silence. Something sacred has moved behind the veil. And while your outer world may still feel slow, strange, or unsure, in the spirit realm, a divine exchange has already begun. The hand of God is now moving pieces that were locked in place for years. The chains are falling without sound. The signatures are happening without ink. You have felt it, especially at night. That sudden alertness before sleep. That pressure in your chest that feels both heavy and holy. It is not anxiety. It is activation. The part of your spirit that has been waiting in obedience is now being called forward. What you've waited for, cried for, sowed into silently for years, is being handed to you in phases of divine timing. God says, you think it has been silent because you heard no announcement. But heaven does not operate on man's calendar. I whispered to your spirit before I moved your circumstances. And now, watch how your world begins to rearrange itself to fit what I have already released. The sacred exchange is this: your pain for placement, your tears for territory, your waiting for wealth, not just money, but influence, clarity, and unstoppable momentum. But because of how valuable it is, it had to happen in secret, away from the eyes of those who might sabotage it or speak against it too soon. Archangel Michael says, if the blessing was announced before its foundation was sealed, it would collapse under the pressure of exposure. That is why we cloaked it in stillness. Someone tried to plant confusion in your atmosphere recently. A conversation. A question. A subtle comment made to make you doubt your progress. This was a final attempt from a spiritual adversary to delay what they sensed you were stepping into. But it failed. Your silence in that moment was not weakness, it was warfare. You didn't defend yourself because heaven stepped in before your words could be used against you. You must understand, you are not being led into a small victory. What is approaching is generational. This will not only bless you, but it will correct bloodlines. It will recover lost honor. It will replant what was uprooted by spiritual enemies generations ago. That is why the warfare was so violent. That is why the betrayal stung deeper than anything you've known. Because what you're about to carry has the weight of legacy attached to it. And now, the first signs are beginning to surface. Pay attention. The people who once dismissed you are watching again. Not because they believe yet, but because they feel the change. Their spirits are reacting before their minds can process it. This is how you know heaven has already placed the crown. They sense the authority rising, even if you don't fully wear it yet. Archangel Michael says, a seal has been broken on your name. What was withheld is now loosed. What was hidden is now in transit. And the next time your name is spoken in rooms of power, it will not be by strangers, it will be by those who once ignored you, now awakened to your divine assignment. Someone who held something that belongs to you is now being moved. A spiritual decision has been made to transfer what was meant for them into your hands, not by theft, but by realignment. Their time has expired. Their assignment was misused. And now, because you remained faithful in seasons that almost destroyed you, what they mishandled is being reassigned into your care. This includes more than material things. It includes ideas, positions, platforms, and voices. Your voice will begin to carry more influence. Your ideas will open doors. Your presence will stir atmospheres without you having to say a word. And this is why you must be discerning now. Not everything that looks like opportunity is from heaven. Some are distractions in disguise. God says, you don't need to chase what is already marked for you. Let it find you. Let it rest where I place it. The right door will open without strain. The right connection will call without persuasion. The right blessing will come with peace, not pressure. There is someone from your past who will reappear soon, offering what seems like reconciliation or partnership. But your spirit will feel the resistance immediately. Do not second-guess it. This is a test of your discernment, not a doorway to restoration. You've outgrown the spiritual climate they still live in, and you cannot return to what God has already released you from. You will notice strange confirmations over the next 48 hours. A number repeating. A name resurfacing. A dream that feels too vivid to ignore. These are not random. They are heaven's way of aligning your attention. Do not dismiss what looks subtle. What begins in whisper will end in divine thunder. Archangel Michael says, you have crossed over. You are now walking with evidence. What you touch will begin to prosper. What you envision will begin to manifest. And those who tried to bury your name will be forced to watch as heaven plants you on higher ground. The people who once had power to delay you no longer have spiritual access. That access has been revoked. You are now surrounded by watchers, angelic forces stationed to guard what is being delivered. This includes the protection of your mind, your decisions, and even your rest. You will begin to sleep differently. You will begin to hear differently. You will begin to speak with clarity that stuns even you. And though the shift is happening fast, do not fear it. Heaven is not just elevating you, it is expanding you. You will not break under the weight. You were forged in fire to carry this. And every limitation that once made you second-guess yourself has already been addressed in secret. You are more ready than you feel. The divine exchange is nearly complete. Do not rush. Do not explain. And above all, do not retreat. Your time has come, quietly, steadily, undeniably.